Are you a young man and finding it hard to pack on mass? Watch this.
Our next caller is Josh from Texas.
Josh, what's happening, man? How can I help you?
Awesome. So I'm gonna go to my question first, and then show my appreciation for y'all afterwards. So real quick and simple, the question is, how does one determine their genetic limitations or gifts? So kind of how is there any test somebody can run on certain types of body parts? Like for me personally, I like to believe I have small muscle groups, so kind of like the traps, the calves, because I remember Adam, you used to say you used to work your calves every day, because you were insecure about them, right? So I kind of felt the same way. So there was like a whole month where I was spending on my calves, whenever I was hitting upper body, hit calves. Like I would always throw in calves. I would start off with my workout and I would do the same. And so I like to train boxing and kickboxing, right? So you're kind of using your arms a lot. So I like to, and my forearms, I feel like boxers tend to have bigger calves, from jumping rope all the time, right? And then also smaller forearms too, and traps. So it just seems like my small muscle groups tend to not grow with. They get defined, but they don't tend to get that girth. So I don't know if it's a programming situation, my diet, or if it's just genetics. So, and if there tips to work out these small muscle groups, like for my biceps, I feel like they're hard for me to grow because I got a short muscle head, right? I've even tried doing weighted reverse grip pull-ups for my biceps. I've done seated calf races, like jump ropes for like minutes on time, like 10 minutes at a time. So just kind of having trouble with these like small muscle groups, if that makes sense.
Are you boxing right now? How often are you training, and how much are you boxing and stuff? Give me an idea.
So my new job schedule, I'm working 4 days, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., right? So a long shift, don't get home. So I make sure to get my sleep and my nutrition. And so I eat pretty clean. I eat like 90-10, I would say. I eat like, Sal, actually, you got me to eating like 4 to 6. I know you eat like 8 eggs in the morning, but I eat like 4 to 6 eggs, pound of ground beef a day. That's like the staple. So tracking maybe 18 to 2,000 calories. So that could be a possibility. But I'm only 5'7", about 150 pounds. So in my training, I usually start off hitting the bag for like 30 minutes. And then I'll have days where weekends I'll do, a few hours of training, kind of get what I can, and then do like 45 minutes of weightlifting.
Yeah, bro, you already answered your question for sure. The amount of activity, cardio, and training in relation to the amount of calories you're eating is probably why you're having a hard time building. You're burning a ton, bro. That's a lot of cardio. That's not a lot of calories, and to expect those small muscle groups to really grow is going to be tough. It doesn't mean you can't and you won't over time, but it's going to be a much slower process than if you would actually dedicate a training cycle to bulking and building those muscle groups. Right now you're sending a competing signal with probably the high intensity cardio. You're eating lower calorie. You're training quite a bit. Yeah, it's a lot to ask your body to also build in an area that you already know are kind of stubborn areas for you. So if you really, really want to build those small areas, calves, you would want to dedicate a program or a cycle of few months of bulking and training to build muscle primarily.
Yeah. Add 1,000 calories a day to your diet. Watch what happens. 500 to 1,000. Watch what happens. But look, I'll tell you this. Here's the big question, right? The big question that you asked, because I'm gonna narrow it all down and kind of synthesize it to this, which is my lack of progress due to my genetics, or is it due to my training, diet, and lifestyle? Here's why I don't think that question ever needs to be asked. Because if it is genetics, there's nothing you can do about it. So why is that important? Because why focus or worry about what you can't control? It's not like you can change your genetics. So the question should never be, is it my genetics? The question is, well, what can I do, or what do I have control over that can potentially move me in the right direction? That's the real question. Genetics are there. You're born. You didn't choose your parents, so you've got those genes. So then look at your training, look at your diet, look at your sleep and your lifestyle, and what are things you can do. And right out the gates, number one, Adam hit the nail on the head. Eat more calories. Now, you might find it's hard for you to eat more calories because you might already find that you're kind of feeling like you're stuffing yourself now. If that's the case, add liquid calories. That's a real easy way to do it. You know, shakes in between meals or a big shake right before bed or something like that. But you add another 500, 700 calories a day consistently to your diet, you'll put on some size. You'll gain a little bit of size for sure just from doing that.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
So I do track my protein. I do eat about 150, sometimes 160 grams of protein. So I make sure to get my protein. I don't know if that helps me maintain my muscle that I have, or if I even just bump overall.
It helps.
No, if you're hitting your protein targets, which is good, but your calories can still be too low.
Yeah.
Okay. So protein is important, but so are calories. You gotta have both, because if your calories are not enough to gain any type of size, you're just going to burn what you're consuming, even if your protein intake is high. Now, high protein intake is going to take your total calories or whatever you're eating and nudge it towards muscle. So in other words, if you eat 2,000 calories low protein, 2,000 calories high protein, if you compared the two, high protein is going to be more effective. But nonetheless, you're finding it's challenging to gain weight and your protein intake is good. You just add more calories. And I mean, you can do it with more protein, fat, or carbs, or all three. At this point, I would say add, if you find it difficult to eat more. Like, let me ask you this, Josh, do you feel like you can eat more, or do you feel like you're already like kind of stuffing yourself?
I definitely feel like I could throw in a 500 calorie shake for sure, just because my job, I am walking quite a bit. So I'm not sure how much calories I'm burning, but I'm walking probably close to like 20,000 steps.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude.
That's why you have
I really think it's a matter of your training right now. Like if you haven't really like abruptly changed, a drastic change in terms of like, there's two different types of muscle fibers that we're working with here, and like to shift it over more towards fast twitch and to be able to really work on the strength training block and building, like a building phase, to develop these muscles that you're seeking. You're not going to see a whole lot of movement in that direction if it's, distracted a lot by the endurance side of the training. So, if this is something like you really desire this outcome, to abruptly stop and shift that training completely in that direction is, something to really consider.
Yeah. How important is it to you that you maintain your boxing and that you keep doing that? Is that something you really enjoy doing?
Yeah, definitely brings me happiness. Definitely have to have it in there.
Okay.
What my lifestyle I'm trying to build is around boxing, like my future goals and plans and aspirations, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, really? So you have goals of boxing, like maybe professionally at some point?
Actually, not necessarily. I've competed before. It's been a while because work and all that. But I actually want to start coaching people in boxing, kind of like a structured around boxing, kind of give people to get them into exercises based around boxing, kickboxing, martial arts in general.
Oh, cool.
So
how many days a week? How many days a week do you train in boxing and kickboxing?
So I work 4 days. I don't get off until about like Saturday morning. So usually the weekend, Saturday night, Sundays and Mondays, and Tuesday morning before I get back to work. So about 4 days.
4 days a week of what is like an hour worth of boxing type training?
You said a half hour.
About an hour of weightlifting and about 30 minutes or so of hitting the bag and mitt work or doing some sparring.
Oh, so then, on those 4 days, you're doing an hour of strength training and then 30 to 40 minutes.
He starts the workout with half hour of hitting the bag. You missed that part?
Yeah, no, I got that. I'm just trying to get.
Or even more probably, now that I think about it, truly, like being honest, like probably close to another hour. Like, because my work day is so like those 12-hour shifts, I just like kind of prepare for work, meal prep my food. When I do have time for the gym, it's like, dang, I just want to throw it all in there.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of steps throughout the day. Yeah,
Yep.
I do, you know, so you're doing that 4 days a week. The other 3 days a week should be recovery based. So don't do any more working out. Bump your calories, and then you'll see yourself gain some size. That's it.
I mean, there's a way to gradually get to your desired outcome. So to be able to incorporate the skills of boxing and not, dismiss that or put that aside in terms, if that's like your priority, obviously we're going to need to incorporate that. So, but those other days where you're just exclusively focused on strength training and building, that's kind of where you need to go.
Would you suggest a type of like a power type of strength type of like 5x5 or like my weight lift? Is it heavy weight, low reps while I'm doing the boxing type of workout?
I actually think that MAPS 15 would actually benefit him. I think
Let's send you MAPS 15,
Yeah.
and because you might be doing too much strength training. To be honest with you,
Just eat too much of everything.
In combo and
Out.
everything, it's
Yeah.
tough to kind of parse that. I mean, the strength training exclusively, like that day should be just by itself. So, in terms of the skill, we'd have to also be able to kind of taper down the intensity of when you're doing your endurance type training. But yeah, like what they're trying to get to is like, how can we structure this in a way where your body's not doing too much? So like kind of reducing, I guess, the time length. And that's where MAPS 15, MAPS 20, I guess, on our advanced blueprint with that would make sense in terms of like strength training. And then the other days you're doing your skills.
Yeah, if you're going to train, if you're going to do your boxing on the same day you're doing lifting, I would definitely like to see you do the boxing after you're lifting. And I'd like to see you refuel between. So I'd love to see you do like a shake, right after your lifting routine, before you go into boxing for a little bit. And I don't know how much that you're going to like that as far as how it'll, but I mean, you the amount of activity
at the least drink some carbs.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that the amount of activity that you're doing, you need to support it with some more calories, and if we can scale back intensity, like Justin's saying. So,
Awesome.
We'll send you MAPS 15, so you'll have something else to look at and follow. Okay.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much.
You got it, man.
Right on.
Yeah. My appreciation last time real quick. As a young 20-year-old kid, I really look up to y'all about, just more than health and fitness, more kind of a good person. And my biggest goal, honestly, in life is to be the dad I've never had. And y'all are like perfect role models for me. I take your advice to heart. And I just picture myself being a better dad to my future kids when I'm older. And y'all teach me like, money, investing too. Y'all just helped me out a lot, just being great influences for a young like me. So thank you so much.
Oh,
thank
thanks,
you, Josh.
man.
That's a huge compliment,
Yeah.
man.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Get me emotional at the end there.
Yeah. This is the classic want my cake and eat it too,
Yeah,
right?
but hey, man, you know what though? I mean, he's got a tremendous athletic performance ability to be able to do all of that. I've worked with boxers.
He's
and
young and
wrestlers.
resilient, so it's kind of one of those things.
Yeah, but he's got to eat more, dude.
Yeah.
He's just not eating enough for all of that activity.
Yeah, that or just understand that the
give or
goal,
take, right?
the goals are competing.
Yep.
Being a great boxer, and obviously that's very important to him. So you never want to be the coach who's like, "Hey, stop boxing." But the truth is, if you really wanted to build your chaps and calves, cutting out boxing and limiting that, or really pulling back on the intensity, increasing calories,
Be the most effective path.
would be the most effective path to get there. But like you love it, like so. Okay, but then you have to be a little understanding that. I mean, how many boxers do we see that look like bodybuilders? And by the way, the ones that do are anomalies. They have those genetic. They had those. They probably looked like that when they were 12. You know what I'm saying? So. You don't see boxers.
I usually don't bet on them. 'Cause they're usually the ones that get
Except for
knocked out.
Evander Holyfield, he looked like a
Well,
little.
yeah, that's the
You
exception.
know, along those lines, when you look at an athlete and you look at their body parts and you say, "Oh, it's the sport is causing that." At that level, what's happened is they're genetically built in a particular way that gives them an advantage at that sport. That's why they look the way they do. It's not that the sport developed. So, he talked about calves. In fact, if you look at boxers, they tend to have short calves.
Yeah.
Kickboxers tend to have long calves. Why is that? Well, you're a kickboxer. You're kicking. You want mass on your lower leg to give you more power. When you're a boxer,
support.
and when you're a boxer, you short, just like sprinters. You see, they typically have short calves as well. You want mobility. You want power, but you want mobility. That doesn't mean if you kickbox, your calves will get longer. If you box, your calves will get shorter. They're just built at that level. When you look at that level of athleticism, that level of performance, you're looking at people who work hard, consistent, but they also have the genetics that puts them in a category that makes them better at that particular sport or built better for that particular sport. So and I want to make that point because as a kid, I did the same thing. I would look at a sport and be like, oh, I got to do that sport to look that way. No, that's not how it works.